this is D and Molo, and today we are continuing the series where I react to videos in my watched later playlist. Now, case you haven't noticed, I suppose that we skipped ahead a few of these, and that's because I've it's a bit of an echo here. Um, hmm, hmm, just, hmm, 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 huh. Uh, uh, I basically said to remove some videos out of the watch later playlist, so that the videos I do react to are are more reaction worthy, as in basically I'll be able to just add something to the conversation, like basically this video right here, this vid. Yeah, honestly, definitely one of my worst videos, because I just didn't really add anything to it and all that. So I have decided to just try to limit bad videos like this. So I decided to remove some weird stuff that would just be um videos I wouldn't exactly react to much. Things I would have difficulty basically transforming it, so and stuff. But enough that. Now let's check this video out. World is the easiest writing system. Origin of Hangul. Corrections in the description. Yeah, now I have heard of Hangul. It's the Korean writing system. Yeah, I've heard some things about it. Apparently, it was created by some Korean king a long time ago, and basically, the letters basically can tell you how to pronounce them by looking at it and all that. Anyway, let's before we start the video, let's check out the corrections here. Right. Okay. 1. I got yin and yang mixed up. Yin is associated with females and darkness and the rest, and yang is associated with males and light and the rest. And 2. Zhong wasn't an emperor. King would be more accurate. The exact difference between those two ideas is a little unclear, but still, no one calls him an emperor, and I shouldn't have either. Yeah, I guess that's one thing you come across throughout the history, is that debate of whether or not one should call a person a king or emperor or not. I know. Yeah, yeah, where the difference between king and emperor, is somewhat blurred and all that, and yeah, I mean, the term, originated with the Roman Empire and all that, of course. In fact, it's from the Romans that we get the word emperor and all that, and the term, the reason they said to call themselves emperors is so that way they could escape accusations of being called king. Like, no, I'm not a king. I'm just an emperor, completely different and all that. I would not have, seek to destroy the glorious Roman Republic and replace it with the kingdom. No. No, I'm not a king. I'm an emperor. That. Because, throughout later on, kings would later, want to be called emperor and all that, as eventually, that was seen as the step above king and all that. So honestly, the term emperor has kind of changed a little, and over the years, we then started calling things that weren't emperors or empires, emperors and empires and all that, like the empires and emperors who existed before the Roman Empire. We retroactively applied those titles to them in order to illustrate the greatness of the power and the dominion that they ruled and all that. And later on, when interacting for owners, the Chinese and the Japanese, decided that the Western world should refer to their rulers as emperor and all that. Because the Japanese and Chinese sort of had a superiority complex and all that. I mean, at the very least, the Chinese had a superiority complex. Not that the Chinese definitely saw themselves as superior to the Westerners and all that. So yeah. I guess this is all just a oversimplification of the whole thing. Very much so an oversimplification. Honestly, I encourage you to do more research on the history of the term emperor yourself and all that. But without further ado, let's learn about the language here. From Xidnaf. Can't remember. Am I subscribed with this guy? Oh yeah, I am subscribed. Huh. I was sure to check out more of his videos. In fact, I wonder, has he uploaded recently at all? ah, I think we'd like to check out this Steam Hams video. yeah. Oh. Oh, he hasn't done it in a year. Hmm. Oh, actually, this is why I don't see too many of his videos. He uploads rather infrequently here. There's like a 3-year gap between skip every Monday by abusing time zones and Steam Times, but I sorted by uh, phenonym. Uh, hmm. I really started to watch some of these videos. Some of these look pretty fun. In fact, actually, I believe I have, already seen some of these videos. So, like, I think I've seen the vernacular English, the African American vernacular English thing here a while back. And, I think maybe it was the proto word and the origin of language. Huh. Yeah. Hmm. So this is how we pronounce his name, yeah? Uh,
Hello, my name is Xidnaf, pronounced voiced alveolar fricative, near close, near front, unrounded vowel, voiced alveolar stop, alveolar nasal, near open front, unrounded vowel, voiceless, labiodental fricative. Now, if you want to pronounce it a different way, for instance, Xidnaf, the way I used to pronounce it, and it looks.
Xidnaf. Okay,
Hello, my name is Xidnaf, pronounced
Xidnaf.
voiced alveolar, voiceless, labiodental fricative. Now, if you want to pronounce it a different way, for instance, Xidnaf, the way I used
Xidnaf. Xidnaf.
to pronounce it, and it looks like a lot of you do, then go right ahead and pronounce it that way. You can pronounce it however you want. I just wanted the way I say it to both only use English sounds and be the way that most of my viewers say it, so I held a poll where people could vote on it, and Xidnaf won by a landslide. So if that's all you wanted to know, you can go now. I'm done. But a lot of people had really interesting alternative ways of pronouncing it, so.
Xidnaf. Yadbin. Xidnaf. Yeah, Xidnaf. 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 Xidnaf.
So I'm going to spend the rest of the video talking about that. So first of all, okay, hang on. If I'm going to spend the last section of the video talking about comments from a previous video, I'm going to have to do it.
Right, let's, stop being sidetracked and actually, watch this video, which is it's what I'm supposed to react to. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Oh my god. Okay, 10 minutes into the video and I haven't even watched a single gosh darn second of it. Well, let's stop, wasting time. Oh, yeah, let's stop wasting time and, get on with it.
Hangul is the name of the main writing system used in Korea today, and I already knew a little bit about it when I started working on this video. In fact, I could already use it a little bit.
So this is it. Consonants. G, n, d, o, b, p, s, m, j, ch, k, t, k, s. J. Right, vowels. Let's see. Ah, yeah, 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 sha, yeah, you, oh, yo, oo, you, e, ah, yeah, se, e, ye, wa, we, we, woo, we, ui, Right. I wonder how many of those I pronounced correctly there.
The basics of how to sound out words, but it wasn't until I started doing research for this video that I realized just how insanely awesome and unique the Korean writing system is. Now, one of the main reasons that Korean is the way it is because it was made up by one guy. Now, a lot of writing systems are purportedly made up by individuals, but Korean is a
Yeah, like Klingon and Elvish.
little bit unique in that it isn't directly based on any single other writing system. And you start to see why when you look at the situation that Korea was in before Hangul was invented. At the time, Korean was written entirely with Chinese characters.
Which is honestly, one of my least favorite writing systems because from what I've heard, it's incredibly, difficult to learn and all that. Like, ugh, good grief. It's basically just hieroglyphics. That's what Chinese characters are. They're hieroglyphics. So you're trying to communicate with hieroglyphics and all that. Yeah, that's just gonna be certainly difficult because like hieroglyphics, sometimes they represent a word. Other times they usually represent a sound and all that. It's just way too complicated and all that, and like more I guess the term will be phonetic letters. I believe the term is. Yeah, let me know if I got that wrong.
Some of you might remember how most of the point of my last video was how a lot of languages have writing systems that fit their grammar really well and how it would be much more difficult to write some languages with some writing systems. Well, the Chinese writing system works by associating a different symbol with every word, which is kind of okay for Chinese because Chinese is an...
Right.
and how it would be much more difficult to write some languages with some writing systems. Well, the Chinese writing system works by associating a different symbol with every word, which is kind of okay for Chinese because Chinese is an analytic language and it tends to use a lot of smaller words rather than a few big ones, so it only has a few words comparatively. But Korean is an agglutinative language, similar to Japanese. In Korean, you're constantly making bigger and bigger words by squishing together smaller ones, so how in Voynich's name are you supposed to do that with Chinese? Trying to associate every word in the Korean language with its own symbol doesn't even make sense. I mean, you'd have to have a different symbol for every possible combinations of sounds. And do you have any idea how long Korean words can get? And yet, somehow, they managed to do it. I'm a bit unclear on the details, but as far as I can tell, they had this really, really absurdly complicated system where smaller words each had their own symbol and common.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, one thing I've heard about learning Japanese is that the hardest part is learning the kanji and all that. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, like I'm pretty sure when it comes to learning Japanese, I mean, at least for people whose native tongue are more European and all that, European native tongues. The hardest part is learning the kanji. Let's see, I believe it's the other two writing systems for Japanese are called the katakana and and the eh, ah, I forget the names. Um, yeah, yeah.
Prefixes and suffixes each had an absurdly complicated system where smaller words each had their own symbol, and common prefixes and suffixes each had their own symbol, and besides that, you had symbols that were associated with individual sounds, or sometimes syllables, or sometimes morphemes, and some symbols did all of these depending on the context, and it's just like, why?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think this is a good reason why the English language is not written with hieroglyphics. Thank God for the Latins.
Why would you live like that? Not surprisingly.
Of course, that's not saying that the English language doesn't have its own problems, but I mean, for the most part, at least, its writing system, is a bit easy to learn and all that. Hmm. Well, at least, from my perspective, anyway. Yeah.
On the context, and it's just like, why? Why would you live like that? Not surprisingly, not too many people could read and write at the time. Mostly it was just upper-class academics who could read and write, who could afford to study how for years and years and years, but most of these academics didn't particularly mind all of this insanity because they wanted to be more like China, which for them was a symbol of refinement and civilization. So who eventually did come along?
Yes, just like the English aristocrats, wanting to be more like the French and the ancient Romans and all that. Yeah, hence why, the English language has so many words of French and Latin origin, and why many of the words of French and Latin origins are seen as, more, sophisticated and, yeah, upper class, more classy and I guess intellectual and all that. Because it was mostly intellectuals who, used the Latin and French words and all that.
To propose something different, none other than the Emperor himself, Sejong the Great. Sejong was Emperor of Korea during the early 1400s, and he was one of Korea's coolest emperors, and not just because he personally invented Hangul. For one thing, he was a hardcore Confucianist. He believed that it was his duty to use his power to benefit the people as best he could, and one of the major...
Yeah, I say pretty good, pretty good outlook to have when you're a king is, your job is to, try to help your people the best you can. Hmm. Because, honestly, the conflict does come in as, what is the best way to help the people and all that. Since, in many ways, a king who wants to help his people can be worse than a king who only wants to help himself because, Well, I'm very supportive of me, I be, but late and eventually sleep. King really wants to, help his people, but does it in the wrong way. It can end up, just being just worse than the service king, because they'll just be, motivated by misguided sense of self-righteousness and just work tirelessly on trying to improve things, making things better, but in reality, they're just making things worse and all that. Honestly, just ignore that Rambo. It contains no substance, but that little Rambo, that little rant.
The things he did was he began appointing people to government positions based on their merit without regard to class or wealth. One of the biggest Confucian principles he believed in was that everyone should seek to improve themselves by studying and learning. So not surprisingly, he was rather deeply disturbed by the fact that almost no one in his entire kingdom could read or write, and he didn't blame this on
Yeah, wow. Pretty good. Wow, very good, yeah.
the people either. He knew how insanely hard the current system was. He himself actually said at one point that trying to use Chinese characters for Korean was like trying to fit a square handle into a round hole. Because one of his main goals was to make a system that was really easy to learn, he wound up creating probably the simplest, easiest writing system in the world. Seriously, if I were trying to teach you the system in this video, I would probably be mostly done by now. I'll post a link to a short comic in the description that claims to be able to teach it to you in 15 minutes, but I actually think that's a bit high. Seriously, just read the comic through and you'll be able to read and write in Hangul by the end of it. Part of the reason it's so easy is because each symbol...
No, I really should do that, but it tells you right, it's so easy right now.
...is practically a diagram of how to pronounce it. The sound that makes a t sound was designed to look like the tongue touching the front of the mouth, which is how you make that sound. Similarly, the sound that makes a k sound is supposed to be the shape of the tongue when it makes that sound, and so on. And then, to make them all slightly more breathy, you just add a little notch to them to indicate the extra air, basically. Now, the consonant letters might have actually been based off of a Mongolian writing system, but they might not have admitted it because of how at the time there was this anti-Mongolian attitude, but there isn't really a consensus on that one. The vowels...
I want to look this. Oh, very nice letters right there. Very nice. Look how they look here.
Letters might have actually been based off of a Mongolian writing system, but they might not have admitted it because of how at the time there was this anti-Mongolian attitude, but there isn't really a consensus on that one. The vowels, though, were definitely made up completely from scratch, and although they're not exactly diagrams of the shape of the mouth, they're actually my favorite part of all of this. You see, Korean has a system of what's called vowel harmony, which means that the vowels in Korean words tend to change around a lot. All Korean vowels are put into two categories, deep vowels and shallow vowels, and if the root of a word has shallow vowels, then all of the vowels and the prefixes and suffixes of that word have to be changed to their corresponding shallow vowel, and vice versa if the root has deep vowels. This way, every Korean word is always composed entirely of either deep vowels or shallow vowels. The main exception was the vowel that was pronounced E, which was neutral and could coexist with deep vowels or shallow vowels. This system of vowel harmony fits right in with the Confucianist idea of yin and yang, the idea that the universe is composed of dichotomies between two opposite and yet mutually dependent forces. Yang is associated with females, darkness, death, intuition, cold, and passivity, while yin is associated with maleness, light, life, logic, warmth, and activity.
Yeah, bro, and remember, in the correction here, he got them mixed up. And it's the same thing with calling Sejong Emperor instead of King. I just thought I ought to remind you again.
So, Sejong the Great associated deep vowels with yang and shallow vowels with yin. Now, Confucians tend to believe in what they call the three realms: heaven, a yang concept; earth, a yin concept; and humans, which mediate between the two. So, one of the deep vowels was given a dot, representing the sun. One of the shallow vowels was given a flat, horizontal line, representing the earth. And the E sound, which was neutral, was given this thing, which I think is supposed to represent a person? I don't know. Anyway, what about the other four vowels? Well, the symbols for the other four vowels are straight lines with another line coming out of the middle in some direction, either left, right, up, or down. The directions of left and down are associated with yin, while the directions of up and right are associated with yang. So the remaining vowels are given these symbols based on whether they were a yin vowel or a yang vowel, and whether the middle line that sticks out goes in a yin direction or a yang direction. In addition to this, all of the vowels with horizontal lines as their bases are what are called rounded vowels, vowels where you have to purse your lips in order to pronounce them, like the oo and o sounds. Anyway, that's enough for vowels. The last and possibly most well-known thing about Korean is the fact that when you write the sounds, you have to organize them into blocks based on syllables. You start with the initial consonant, or placeholder symbol if the syllable doesn't start with the consonant, and then you add the syllable's vowel either to the right if the vowel symbol is based on a vertical line, or beneath it if it's based on a horizontal line. Then, if there's a consonant on the end of the syllable, you put it beneath everything else, and then you write the syllable blocks left to right. And that's it. That's the Korean writing system. Because it was so easy to tell how things were pronounced based on how the symbols looked, this system spread all across Korea like wildfire after Sejong invented it. Sejong said of these symbols that a wise man can acquaint himself with them before the morning is over. A stupid man can learn them in the space of 10 days. And he was right. In fact, it was so effective at educating the population that latter kings tried to abolish it because they thought that it was making people too smart. It was revived later, but by then the Korean language had changed a lot while Hangul had stayed the same, so today it's not quite the masterpiece of simplicity it used to be. However, it still remains one of the most interesting, unique writing systems in the world. Now,
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely the difficulty of writing systems that, pronunciations of things and even the definitions of certain words do change over time and all that. I mean, yeah, you can definitely, notice that by, how different languages pronounce the word Caesar and all that. With, funny enough, the Germans actually have the correct pronunciation. The Germans, saying Kaiser instead of Caesar, like English speakers do.
I know I've been giving Hangul a lot of credit because of how simple and intuitive it is, but I want to make clear that that doesn't make it better exactly. In fact, language is often really cool and interesting for the exact opposite reasons. Case in point, the tie-writing system, which I will discuss in my next video. Exact opposite reasons. Case in point,
I really do like how this look, it's, I mean, I don't know what any of this means. To me, there's nothing more than a bunch of squiggly lines, but they're very nice, pretty squiggly lines. Yeah, very, very nice letters. I like how they look.
The tie-writing system, which I will discuss in my next video. And then, after that, I promise I'll give writing systems a rest and I'll start talking about something else for a while.
That was a pretty interesting video. Let's see, what time is it? 27. Alright. Well, let's just get some of the comments just here in Korean. See. Thank goodness for the translate to English. Let's hope it translates them correctly here. The sort of thing is that the sort of thing is that they made it for foreigners watch. All viewers are Korean. This video is already 10 years old. Fighting for 2024. I don't know why I'm listening to a foreigner explain Korean, but I feel like it's interesting because a foreigner is explaining it. Okay. Oh my god. Yeah, the fact that so many of these comments are in Korean is honestly kind of hilarious. Honestly, Sejong is great. But even though there were many people who tried to destroy Hangul, I think the people who preserved it are really cool. What's really great about this guy is that he didn't make this video because Korea is popular these days because of K-pop, but because he thought Hangul was amazing 9 years ago. I like people who think they are stupid. fairness, I believe that's she's on in the profile picture there. No, I'm taking down the comment because I'm curious about the reactions of non-Koreans. But why is everything in Korean? Congratulations, you just found an English comment. I was surprised at how accurate it was. You don't have to worry too much about yin and yang, but they explained everything else so well that I thought it will be easy for a foreigner to learn Korean. Thank you so much for your interest in Korean. I'm not complimenting this person for making videos related to Hangul. I just think he's really smart. There are many people who cannot distinguish between Hangul and Korean. Korean is considered a difficult language, and Hangul is considered an easy alphabet. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is pretty true. I like it. Although I gotta say, the fact that Hangul is an easy alphabet is definitely quite does make Korean a bit less difficult. So there's that. But yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know a lot about the Korean language, but I think I'm gonna take this guy's word for it that Korean is a difficult language, but Hangul is an easy alphabet. I just realized, one could definitely write English in Hangul and all that, and a person who knows how to read Hangul but does not understand English, Korean, would be able to read it. Did King Sejong know that almost 600 years later a foreigner would be explaining Hangul? LOL. I watched this video 6 years ago accidentally, and now I'm fluent in Korean and doing a master's in Korean studies. Oh, neat. Oh, beautiful right there. Special comment on Korea-related videos made by foreigners. Everyone was so drunk on Gapapong that they were all Korean. However, the views seemed to be Korean. I didn't know this because I usually turn off the YouTube alarm, but after reading a comment for the first time in a while, I don't know why it has 4,000 likes. But let's distinguish between Gapong and fascism. Okay, now I have no idea what Gapong is at all, so okay. I also thought I was good at Korean after taking the CSAT. I realized that I speak 0 languages. What? When did I leave a comment like this? I guess I posted after last year's college entrance exam. Huh. You guys don't be a kin. Okay, no, I don't think Google Translate is doing a good job. Either that or this person did not is really bad at writing. I don't know. A foreigner, not even a Korean, studied Hangul so much that he knew it better than most Koreans, rather than making you feel full of soup. Full of soup? I take that's a Korean phrase that I don't know the meaning of. Rather than making you feel full of soup, it's a video that makes you think that foreigner is really cool and that you love Hangul. I don't or fully understand what he's talking about, and I'll just like it. But I'll just guess I'll read these last three, and then I'll put an end to this video here. A person who knows Korean better than most Koreans. A video producer. Okay. Congratulations to foreigners too, because everything is in Korean. You found English comments. When we too were buried in foreign comments, you discovered Korean comments. I'm doing it. Wow. I just came in because the thumbnail was so impressive and explained Korean in great detail. I would like to thank you very much for your interest in the Korean language and your efforts in producing the video. Alright, well, let's stop there, and good night, everybody. Have a great day. Well, I guess it wouldn't be night when I uploaded this. It would be more like afternoon. Although then again, that depends on the time zone. Now, whatever. Just remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Ring that bell when you do subscribe, so you're notified for any and all of the videos I upload here on this YouTube channel. And check out the other stuff in the description down below. Anyway, that's enough for now. Goodbye.